Let's face it, food is a big part of our lives. We eat during movie nights, when we're out on romantic dates, and some of us even carry snacks in our bags and pockets. But what if some of your favorite dishes are more dangerous than you think? From your favorite comfort foods to exotic ingredients, some foods can do far more harm than just adding inches to your waistline. They can end your life. So before you take your next bite, check out these 20 dangerous foods that can actually kill you. Number 20. Apple seeds. We've all heard the age-old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But what they don't tell you is that those innocent-looking apple seeds could actually be plotting your demise. You see, it's not the apple itself that's the problem, it's those tiny little seeds hiding inside. These seemingly harmless seeds contain a little something called amygdalin, which, when broken down by your body, turns into something poisonous called cyanide. And if you're wondering why it tastes so awful, the truth is that bitterness is nature's way of warning you to steer clear. Because cyanide is no joke. It interferes with your blood's ability to carry oxygen, leading to serious conditions like hypoxemia, and we all know where that road leads. Now, we're not saying you need to swear off apples altogether. Our bodies can handle small amounts of cyanide, so accidentally swallowing a seed or two won't harm you. But let's not push our luck here. Overindulging in apple seeds could spell serious trouble for your health. So, the next time someone says an apple a day keeps the doctor away, just remember, only if you avoid the seeds. Number 19. Fugu. Some of us are familiar with this food, also known as pufferfish. This seemingly innocent delicacy from Japan is actually a nightmare. Despite its popularity, fugu is the second most poisonous vertebrate on the planet. It's a killer on a plate. You might be wondering, how deadly can this so-called delicacy be? Well, let's break it down for you. A single fugu fish can contain enough deadly components to kill not one, not two, but over 30 people. That's right, 30. Now, you might be curious about what makes this deadly dish so dangerous. The answer lies in a little something called tetrodotoxin. This neurotoxin, found in the ovaries, intestines, and liver of the fugu fish, is up to 1,200 times more deadly than cyanide. Let that sink in for a moment. One wrong move and you could be facing paralysis, respiratory failure, or even death. In order to prepare fugu safely, chefs must undergo years of rigorous training to obtain a proper license. Despite these precautions, numerous people still meet their untimely demise every year due to improperly prepared fugu. It's like playing a game of culinary Russian roulette. You never know if your fugu has been expertly handled or if it's a ticking time bomb. So, dear adventurous foodies, think twice before taking a chance on fugu. After all, do you really want to roll the dice with your health over a meal? Let's stick to something a bit less risky. Number 18. Cashews. You might think cashews are harmless little nuts, but these seemingly innocent snacks have a dark side that could spell disaster for the unassuming snacker. Raw cashews contain urushiol, the same toxic chemical found in poison ivy. So, munching on these nuts in their natural state is like inviting poison ivy to throw a raging party in your mouth. Sure, the cashews you find at the store have been steamed to remove this dangerous compound, but if you ever stumbled upon some truly raw cashews, you'd be in for a world of trouble. Imagine the thrill of experiencing an itchy, burning throat after indulging in a handful of these lethal nuts. Not exactly the kind of adventure you were looking for in your snack time, right? So, remember, not all nuts are as nutty about you as you might think. When it comes to cashews, it's better to play it safe and stick to the processed ones. Number 17. Microwave popcorn. Are you a fan of microwave popcorn? Well, you might want to think twice before indulging in this seemingly harmless snack. Sure, it's quick, tasty, and perfect for movie nights, but did you know that it could actually be a potential hazard to your health? Hidden behind the delicious buttery aroma lies a dangerous chemical known as diacetyl. This little troublemaker has been linked to a condition called popcorn lung, which afflicted factory workers who were exposed to high levels of diacetyl. So, while you're enjoying your favorite movie with a bag of microwave popcorn, you might also be inhaling this harmful chemical. It's not just the popcorn itself that's the issue. The real culprit here is the packaging in which you cook the popcorn in the microwave. That innocent-looking bag is actually coated with a cocktail of nearly 4 dozen chemicals. Who knew that something as simple as making popcorn could be so hazardous? So, next time you reach for that convenient bag of microwave popcorn, think about what you're really getting yourself into. Is it worth risking your health for a quick and easy snack? Maybe it's time to reconsider your movie night munchies and opt for a safer alternative. Your lungs will thank you. Number 16. Rhubarb. Rhubarb may look like a simple, tart ingredient for pies, but hidden beneath its innocent exterior is a plant that could send you to the emergency room, or worse. While the stalks are edible, the leaves of the rhubarb plant contain dangerously high levels of oxalic acid, a toxic substance that can cause everything from nausea and vomiting to seizures and kidney failure. A surprisingly small amount of oxalic acid can lead to poisoning. Even consuming stalks in excess can contribute to the formation of kidney stones, as oxalic acid binds with calcium in the body. And if you somehow ingest the leaves by mistake, you're looking at potential paralysis or a swift trip to the hospital. In fact, there's a wild story from World War I when vegetable supplies were running low. The leaves of rhubarb were mistakenly recommended as a food source in Britain, leading to numerous poisonings and even deaths. It just goes to show that even in desperate times, rhubarb leaf is still not an option, but a death sentence. Number 15. Fermented shark. This sounds like an adventurous delicacy, right? Well, the truth is, eating it could be one of the riskiest culinary experiences of your life. This Icelandic dish is made from Greenland shark, a species whose flesh is naturally toxic due to high levels of urea and trimethylamine oxide compounds that help the shark survive in deep, cold waters. To make it somewhat edible, the meat is buried underground and left to ferment for months, allowing some of the toxins to break down. But who's behind this bizarre tradition? Vikings! It seems like they had a penchant for culinary risks even back in the day. Now you might be thinking, surely after all that fermentation, the toxins would have broken down enough to make it safe to eat, right? Wrong. Even after all that time underground, charcoal still contains enough toxic compounds to make even the bravest souls gag or, in extreme cases, suffer from severe food poisoning and neurological damage. And if the potential health risks aren't enough to discourage you, just wait until you get a whiff of it. The strong ammonia-like fumes coming out from this fermented concoction are your body's way of screaming danger at the top of its lungs. Consider it a warning sign from your olfactory system that this dish might be best left untouched. So, if you're still keen on trying fermented shark for dinner, be prepared for more than just a daring taste sensation. You'll be facing a potential health hazard with every bite. It's like playing Call of Duty, only instead of bullets, you're dodging toxic compounds. Number 14. Potatoes. Let's peel back the truth about your favorite starchy vegetable. While not all potatoes are out to get you, there are some deadly spuds lurking in the bunch. When you're about to dig into a delicious plate of mashed potatoes and you spot a greenish tint on your spud, you might want to think twice before taking a bite. That green hue is a telltale sign of trouble, indicating the presence of a threatening poison called solanine. When potatoes start to turn green, it's not just a harmless color change, it's a warning sign that they're transforming into something toxic. That lovely green hue, it's not a sign of freshness, it's a signal to back away slowly. Solanine, the villain of this story, is a nerve toxin that can wreak havoc on your body, causing everything from stomach cramps to hallucinations. And if that's not enough to scare you, ingesting high amounts of solanine can lead to vomiting, diarrhea, paralysis, and even death. Death by potato doesn't sound so good, but that's not the only toxic thing about this vegetable. You see those little sprouts and stems that pop up on aging potatoes? They're not just harmless growths, they're packed with the same deadly glycoalkaloid. So, if you see those pesky eyes staring back at you from your potato, it's best to steer clear. So, the next time you reach for a potato, remember to give it a thorough inspection. Say no to green tints and sprouting eyes, and keep those deadly spuds at bay. Number 13. Red kidney beans. You may think that red kidney beans are just a harmless addition to your favorite chili or stew, but they're not. These seemingly innocent beans are actually one of the most dangerous foods hiding in your kitchen. Loaded with phytohemagglutinin, a toxin that can wreak havoc on your body, red kidney beans are not to be toyed with. It's no joke. Just a small amount of undercooked or raw red kidney beans can unleash a wave of violent nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea upon your unsuspecting stomach, often within hours of consumption. And if you thought slow cooking them to perfection would rid them of their deadly nature, we're sorry to disappoint you. The honest truth is that cooking kidney beans at low temperatures only amplifies their toxicity, turning your slow cooker chili into a one-way ticket to misery. Number 12. Elderberries. The deep purple jewels of the fruit world, publicized as a superfood that promises to boost your health and vitality. But before you start sprinkling these seemingly innocent berries on your morning yogurt, you might want to hear this. These little guys have a dark secret that could be lethal. In fact, some people call it nature's little assassins. You see, raw elderberries are not as innocent as they appear. They contain a little something called cyanogenic glycosides, which, when ingested, can be converted into cyanide in your body. Yes, the same deadly poison that's usually reserved for spy novels and crime dramas. Eating just a few raw elderberries or their leaves and stems can lead to nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. And that's just the beginning. If you're bold enough to consume larger amounts, you could be in for a real treat: seizures, coma, and potentially even death. You might think that cooking these treacherous berries would neutralize their deadly potential, right? Wrong. Even cooked elderberries can be risky business if they're not prepared properly. The next time you're tempted to whip up a health-boosting elderberry concoction, remember this: you could be one sip away from sipping on a toxic cocktail. Number 11. Peanut. This is the beloved snack, always lurking at parties and peanut butter jars. But did you know this innocent legume is actually a death trap waiting to happen? For some people, even a microscopic dusting of peanut particles can trigger an allergic reaction so severe it leads to anaphylaxis, a rapid onset, life-threatening condition that can close up airways in minutes. One moment you're munching away, the next you're fighting to breathe with your throat swelling like it's staging a protest against your life choices. Peanuts have another toxic substance hidden within their shells: aflatoxins. These sneaky little molds are not only hard to pronounce, but they're also carcinogenic, meaning they have the potential to turn your body into a playground for all sorts of nasty diseases. And these toxins thrive when peanuts are stored improperly, so while you innocently reach for that handful of trail mix, you could be unknowingly inviting these villains to wreak havoc on your liver. So remember, when it comes to peanuts, it's better to be cautious than sorry. Number 10. Nutmeg. This is the warm, cozy spice that brings festive cheer to your holiday treats. But beneath that aromatic surface lies a substance so dangerous it can literally turn your world upside down. Nutmeg contains myristicin, a compound that, in large doses, acts as a hallucinogen. Sure, you might sprinkle it on your eggnog, but if you overdo it, you're in for a ride you never asked for. Dizziness, nausea, mind-bending hallucinations, and heart palpitations that will make you feel like your chest is hosting a fireworks show. Myristicin can also cause severe dehydration, paranoia, and seizures, leaving you in a state of confusion for days. All this from a spice you thought was for cookies and lattes. If at all you need to grate that nutmeg over your dessert, remember, a little goes a long way. Too much, and your cozy evening could quickly spiral into a horror movie you can't escape. Number 9. Lychee. This sweet tropical fruit with its juicy floral flavor seems like a refreshing snack on a hot day. But don't let its delicate taste fool you. This little fruit can turn deadly in the blink of an eye. Unknown to many, unripe lychees contain a toxic substance called hypoglycin A, which has the potential to throw your body into a state of chaos. This nefarious toxin interferes with your body's ability to produce glucose, leading to a sudden and dangerous drop in blood sugar levels. The result? Acute hypoglycemia, a condition that can bring on seizures, loss of consciousness, and in the most severe cases, even death. In certain regions of the world, particularly in parts of India, the consumption of lychees has tragically led to the untimely demise of children, especially when consumed on an empty stomach. During springtime, children would inexplicably experience seizures, slip into comas, and tragically, over 40% of these cases resulted in death. After exhaustive investigations, scientists finally solved the mystery. The undernourished children were consuming unripened lychees that had fallen to the ground. These innocent-looking lychees contain alarmingly high levels of a naturally occurring amino acid derivative known as hypoglycin. This deceitful compound triggered a series of terrifying symptoms in the affected children, from screaming at night and convulsions to acute swelling of their brains. But here's the shocking truth: this deadly fruit isn't discriminatory. Even adults are not immune to its scary and dangerous effects. Consuming an excessive amount of lychees, especially when they're not fully ripe, could potentially land you in a state of shock, literally. Number 8. Tuna. This is everyone's favorite lean protein, right? Let's start with the silent assassin known as mercury. Your beloved tuna is basically a sponge for this toxic substance, and the larger the tuna, the more mercury it soaks up. So, while you're patting yourself on the back for choosing a lean protein, you're actually loading up on a potent neurotoxin. Eat too much tuna, and you could be setting yourself up for mercury poisoning, which can cause everything from muscle weakness and cognitive impairment to mood swings and memory loss. The worst part, mercury quietly builds up in your system, wreaking havoc before you even realize what hit you. But that's not all. Ever heard of scombroid poisoning? This is a sneaky little condition caused by improper storage of tuna. When tuna isn't kept cold enough, histamines build up in the flesh. Eat that tainted tuna, and you're in for a delightful experience of flushing, headaches, and violent vomiting. Not exactly the healthy dinner you had in mind. So, when you open a can or order that tuna steak, remember, you're not just eating fish, you're gambling with your brain, your stomach, and your sanity. Number 7. Cassava. You might be wondering why this is even on the list. While the flower itself may seem harmless, the real threat lies in the leaves and roots of this plant, which are chock full of cyanide. You see, cassava contains cyanogenic glycosides, a fancy term for compounds that can release cyanide when consumed raw or improperly prepared. And just 2 roots of this seemingly harmless plant could be all it takes to send you to the hospital. So, what's the key to avoiding a date with your doctor? It's simple. Never ever eat cassava raw, and always ensure it's been properly prepared. Regular consumption of improperly processed cassava can lead to cyanide poisoning, which comes with a delightful array of symptoms including nerve damage, thyroid impairment, and organ failure. Oh, and did we mention the ultimate symptom? Death. So a little extra caution can go a long way in ensuring that it doesn't become your last supper. Number 6. Honey. Nature's golden, sticky nectar, praised for its sweetness and health benefits. But don't be fooled by that innocent amber glow. Honey can be downright dangerous. First off, let's talk about raw, unpasteurized honey. This seemingly harmless concoction often contains grey anotoxins, which can lead to mad honey poisoning. Just a spoonful of this tainted treat can cause dizziness, weakness, nausea, sweating, and hallucinations. One minute you're innocently sweetening your tea, the next you're on a psychedelic journey you never signed up for. And don't even think about giving honey to infants. Honey can contain spores of Clostridium botulinum, which can trigger infant botulism, a rare but terrifying illness that causes muscle weakness, breathing problems, and can be fatal. Even for adults, consuming too much honey can cause digestive issues, blood sugar spikes, and weight gain. Not quite the picture of wholesome sweetness we had in mind, right? So before you drizzle that honey into your tea, remember, that golden drizzle could be hiding more than just sweetness. It could be your worst nightmare in a jar. Number 5. Chili pepper. Chili peppers, those fiery little fruits that add a kick to your favorite dishes, may seem like the perfect way to spice up your meal. But don't let their simple look fool you. Chili peppers can turn your dinner into a painful, fiery ordeal. The heat you feel? That's from capsaicin, the chemical compound responsible for making your mouth feel like it's on fire. In small doses, it's bearable, but eat too much, and capsaicin becomes your worst enemy, causing severe burning sensations, stomach pain, vomiting, and even diarrhea. And that's not even the worst of it. Accidentally get some of that capsaicin on your skin or, heaven forbid, in your eyes, and you'll be in for a world of blinding pain and irritation. But if you're brave enough to take on ultra-hot varieties like ghost peppers or Carolina Reapers, you could be signing yourself up for a whole new level of agony. We're talking intense abdominal cramps, esophageal damage, and even temporary airway constriction. Some have even ended up in the emergency room after chili pepper challenges went horribly wrong. Number 4. Shellfish. These delectable morsels from the sea may seem like a fancy treat, but they can be a minefield of dangers, ready to turn your luxurious seafood dinner into a nightmare. Let's start with the most obvious threat: allergies. Just a mere taste of shrimp, crab, or lobster can send your body into a frenzy of swelling, hives, and even difficulty breathing. And if you're really unlucky, you might find yourself facing the dreaded anaphylactic shock, a surefire way to ruin your evening and possibly end it altogether. Yes, one wrong bite and you could be waging a battle for your very life. But even if you're not allergic, shellfish hide other hazards. Some varieties, like mussels and oysters, can harbor toxins such as saxitoxin and domoic acid, which cause paralytic and amnesic shellfish poisoning. These toxins aren't destroyed by cooking, so even the fanciest restaurant preparation won't save you from the risk of dizziness, vomiting, and, in rare cases, paralysis or death. And if that's not enough to make you think twice about that shellfish platter, consider the risk of foodborne illnesses. Raw or undercooked shellfish are a playground for bacteria like Vibrio and Salmonella, just waiting to turn your stomach inside out and have you regretting your meal as you spend the night hunched over a toilet. While moderate consumption may not significantly impact healthy adults, those in delicate conditions such as pregnant women, nursing mothers, and vulnerable individuals have added risk of mercury poisoning. Number 3. Margarine. Margarine, the so-called healthier alternative to butter, has been fooling us all with its smooth, creamy surface. But don't be deceived by its innocent appearance. Under that seemingly harmless surface is a deadly concoction of processed fats and chemicals just waiting to wreak havoc on your body. For years, margarine was loaded with trans fats, those artery-clogging villains that have been linked to heart disease, strokes, and an increased risk of death. Even though some brands have tried to clean up their act by removing trans fats, some still contain trace amounts which can build up in your system over time. And let's not forget about the industrial processing that goes into creating this buttery imposter. To transform vegetable oils into that buttery spread, margarine undergoes hydrogenation, a chemical process that alters the fat structure and turns oils into something far from natural. Even the so-called trans fat-free versions are not off the hook, as they come packed with unhealthy fats that are just waiting to sabotage your cholesterol levels and set you up for a heart attack. If by tomorrow you need to spread margarine on your toast, remember, behind that creamy texture is a science experiment gone wrong, ready to mess with your heart, your arteries, and your long-term health. Number 2, castor oil. Castor oil, often called the miracle remedy for everything from constipation to hair growth, is not as innocent as it seems. This seemingly harmless oil is extracted from the seeds of the castor bean plant, which contains one of the most potent poisons known to man, ricin. While the oil itself is processed to remove the ricin, even the slightest mistake in processing could leave traces of this deadly toxin behind. Just a few milligrams of ricin can cause organ failure, and there's no known antidote. Even when ricin isn't involved, ingesting too much castor oil can lead to severe digestive distress. It acts as a powerful laxative, and just a little too much can trigger violent diarrhea, dehydration, cramping, and electrolyte imbalances that could land you in the hospital. Long-term use can wreak havoc on your intestines, leaving you with chronic issues far worse than what you started with. So, while castor oil might seem like a natural cure-all, one wrong dose or a poorly processed batch could turn your home remedy into a deadly gamble. Number 1, kiwi skin. While some preach its nutritional benefits, biting into that fuzzy brown layer might be more trouble than it's worth. Let's start with the texture. Biting into that rough, sandpapery texture is like inviting a world of irritation into your mouth and throat. But beyond the unpleasant texture, there's the risk of a hidden allergy. Kiwi is known to trigger allergic reactions in some people, and the skin, with its concentrated compounds, can make those reactions even worse. Symptoms can range from mild itching and swelling to more severe reactions like throat tightness and difficulty breathing. Even if you're not allergic, the skin often harbors pesticides and residues, especially if it's not organic. Unless you scrub it clean, you're basically eating a layer of chemical grime that could disrupt your gut or worse. While some claim kiwi skin is packed with fiber and nutrients, you might want to think twice before sinking your teeth into that fuzzy danger. Because the extra nutrition you're desperately looking for could come with a side of irritation, chemicals, or even a trip to the emergency room. As much as we love our food, it's clear that not everything on our plate is as safe as it seems. But the good news is, with a little awareness and care, you can avoid turning your next meal into a dangerous mistake. So cook smart, stay safe, and stay healthy.